There was a heavy downpour with a thunderstorm. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, and Lidia Semyonovna stood at the window and looked at everything with admiration. The raging elements seemed to wash away the heaviness from the soul, refreshing memories. Once upon a time, under such a downpour, they met with their future husband. The wet ones laughed at the bad weather and ran through the puddles. How much time has passed since then? They raised 2 children, grew old together, how many kind and warm feelings there were. And then Vitya left her. He left before her, but he promised to be there always. The death of her beloved husband unsettled her for a long time, and only after she dreamed about him did she calm down. Young as before, he urged to live on and promised that they would definitely be together again. He will wait, but let her not hurry. How I love to look outside during such a rain, when everything around is rattling, sparkling, well, just a fabulous picture that is both scary and beautiful at the same time. The woman admired, pretending not to notice the irritation of all those present. "Mom, you're not thinking about that right now," said Roman. "Well, honestly, it's not up to the thunderstorm now. Are we discussing a very serious issue? And you? What about me?" Lidia Semyonovna was merrily surprised, as before, looking out the window. The son said something else, and the elderly mother continued to smile. Roma was joined by her daughter. "Mom, Romka is right, today you are somehow impressionable, then you like the downpour, then suddenly youth remembered that dad. What came over you is not for this, we came to you." "No, why then, I thought that in some century they remembered me and came to visit, I bought a cake for my ears, I thought we'd drink tea together, when was the last time everyone gathered like that?" "Don't remember?" "That's what I don't remember." The woman was cunning, everything was fine, she understood, because I behaved this way, and alas, to her regret, these 3 people close to her did not just come to see how she lives here. Roma so he generally rushed from another city. The older brother, who had not called for 100 years, showed up, and all because, quite unexpectedly, an inheritance fell on Lidia Semyonovna. A serious lawyer found her, who told her interesting facts. As it turned out, the father who raised her and her brother was native only to Pasha, and adopted her. Her biological father separated from her mother when she was just born. The woman did not know about the divorce, but she was not aware of the fact that she and her brother were relatives only by their mother. How it happened that the first one found her in his old age remained incomprehensible. But only dying, he left a will for her. This is what a serious lawyer reported in a contrived and announced the amount. There were so many zeros that Lidia Semyonovna did not even understand how many it was. There was no one to challenge the will. After that divorce, the man never married, did a good business and devoted his whole life to making money. Judging by the numbers, he did it perfectly. Very quickly, the children learned about the inheritance and, as expected, began to divide. Lydia was ready to bet that they had already quarreled among themselves, but who would get how much? And when they realized what to do, this mother is not going to, they were very surprised. How so? Why did it happen? They are her only family, which means they need to share. Besides, she was known as a disinterested person and ready for anything for the well-being of children. And so all 3 agreed and gathered to visit their mother in order to persuade her to think carefully. For 3 hours, they tried in turn to reach out to her consciousness, but they did not succeed. And what they just didn't say, what weighty arguments they didn't give, convincing the heiress to share with her closest relatives, nothing came of it. "No guys," Lydia just answered, "don't count on me, I won't give you anything." "But why, Mom?" Lyra was outraged. "Why are we not strangers to you? Will your conscience bother you after this?" "This is after what, after this?" I didn't understand. Semyonovna raised an eyebrow in surprise. But what is not shared with us? Without blinking an eye, the daughter replied. But why should my conscience bother me? Lidia Semyonovna continued not to understand. I didn't deceive anyone, I didn't steal anything from anyone, so my conscience is clear, which means I'm calm. Besides, to be honest, I don't understand. Why do you need money? That's what you lack. You have everything, as far as I know, and until recently you considered yourself very happy people who do not need anything. So what happened all of a sudden? Well, say, too, Linda. Brother Pavel said offendedly. How happy are we? And he sprinkled them with a list of problems, and the cottage needed to be repaired, and the car was old, and indeed, how many expenses are there today? Are you talking about the dacha that you and I got from our parents? Lidia Semyonovna asked. Well, yes, the very one, said Pavel. Yes, I haven't been to this dacha for so many years, answered Lidia Semyonovna. After all, you then arranged everything for yourself, said that it would be better. Well, I didn't argue, I didn't want to swear with you. And when you got married, your wife kicked me out of there. I'm not even sure that she found her way there now. Lida, I already divorced her, you forgot. The brother began to make excuses. It's all her fault, and I, too, as soon as I found out what kind of person she was, I immediately got divorced. Well, Pasha, if you really need money for repairs at home, ladies, and that's it. But my brother has drawn one problem after another, and the car is junk and I want to move to the capital, because she needs money. It was very striking how nervous all her relatives were. Therefore, Passion's monologue was stopped on the move. If you really want to move to the capital, Pasha, then what's the problem? Sell your 3-room apartment that your grandmother bequeathed to us, because you re-registered it for yourself, you said, and the elder needed you more. Did she stay with you after the divorce? Wife, you didn't give anything, did you? And move to your capital, buy a smaller area with this money and you will be happy. I don't see any problems, and you will find a job. You are an intelligent master, so you definitely won't be left without a penny. My brother was still trying to speak, but Lydia cut him off quite abruptly. Well, that's enough, everything is clear with you, you still won't receive any money, except for home repairs and then in memory of your parents, and I will make sure that everything is done according to the mind. She glanced at her daughter. What do you have? You, too, do not have enough for a happy life, or there is nothing to repair the cottage. In my opinion, you are a married daughter. Your husband makes good money anyway, until recently you didn't need anything. What's happened? Nothing happened, Mom, everything is fine with me, you just have to give me money, you are my mother, which means that if they fell on you from the sky, then you must share it with me. Am I not right? But it's like a maternal instinct or something. Clear. Lidia Semyonovna said thoughtfully. Well, I don't have that instinct. How is it not? Lyra was outraged. You are my mother, so you must have an instinct, but there is no his daughter, laughingly said Lidia Semyonovna, and what are you going to do here? She looked at her son. And you have a son, what problems do you have? The son turned out to be more cunning, he did not directly ask, he convinced that everything was fine with him, he just asked in passing. Lend me some money for a while, I'll pay it back, I have one interesting business here and it's pecking, so when everything works out, I'll give it all to you. You'll manage. Simple, said Lidia Semyonovna. I mean, I didn't understand how to understand your words, you don't believe me, don't you believe that I will give you everything, why not? I really believe it, said the old mother. Then what is the problem, Roma said. The woman looked at her son and thought where, how, at what stage she made such a mistake, giving them everything, because she helped each of the children. After the death of her husband, she sold her apartment, a good 3-room Stalin in the center was expensive, and the children, without blinking an eye, immediately chose such housing for themselves that she was left with a penny. I had to huddle in a communal apartment, but she did not complain, as long as their relatives were well, and she would somehow survive. And they took everything for granted. No one thought what it would be like for Mom in a common kitchen with strangers. Meanwhile, the son continued. "You'll see, I won't let you down, I'll return everything. And give me a loan too." Lyra said. "I will also return. I also have a business pecking, I just forgot to tell about it." "But if so, in fact, I also forgot something," Pavel intervened in the conversation. "I, like everyone else, have a business, and I will also return everything as soon as possible." "You believe me?" "Of course, I do," Lidia Semyonovna said. "I trust all of you endlessly, but I will not give money to anyone." "Why?" Lidia Semyonovna thought for a moment. "But this is a really good question, and I also really want to know the answers to many of my why. For example, why do I live in a communal apartment? Why have I not been to any dacha for a very long time? And most importantly, why have I not been visiting any of you for many years? Nobody needed so many years. No, what are you? Needed, of course," the petitioners said, not in a harmonious chorus. "Then the questions remain, why?" Everyone fell silent. "And so, it turns out that my questions remain unanswered," Lidia Semyonovna said. "Well, we, therefore, will do so. As soon as you find the answers to these questions, we will continue the conversation about what I should share with you." For some time everyone was silent. The first to break the silence was Lidia Semyonovna herself. "I thought here, maybe I should travel. I always wanted to see the world. I'll go to Paris, I'm like Montmartre." At that very moment, lightning flashed outside and thunder rumbled. The relatives recoiled in fear from the window. The bad weather broke out notably, as if mocking them all. "Mom, don't do that." For the last time, she tried to convince the heiress of her daughter, and fell silent, stumbling upon a cold look. On this day, the visitors left Lidia Semyonovna with nothing. Although she was well aware that the relatives did not lose hope that in the future good luck would still smile at them. And then all their dreams will come true, and they will finally become truly happy people. Lidia Semyonovna hoped that the children and her brother would be able to understand everything on their own. She so wanted to tell them that happiness is not in money, that every minute of this life and everyone in it should be valued. But she understood that today her family was not ready to accept common truths, and if she tried to explain to them, it would still lead nowhere. Of course, she is not going to spend everything on herself. She is not brought up like that, but she will not let her completely forget about herself either. She deserved her own place and some peace, because no one thought to take care of her after the death of her husband. Of course, she will help everyone, but a little later, and now later they will look for answers to the questions that she asked them, and maybe this will change their lives. In any case, she really wanted to believe it.